What would you think if I told you that reincarnation was deliberately removed from sacred texts? Would you want to know how this belief, once accepted by many cultures and religions, was erased for reasons beyond faith? By the end of this video, you'll see how history, power, and spirituality collided and shaped the beliefs we hold today. Reincarnation refers to the belief that the soul passes from one body to another, being reborn into a new life. This belief is one of the oldest and most fascinating ideas in human history. In ancient India, reincarnation was closely tied to the law of karma, seen as a cycle where one's actions in the past shaped the next life. In ancient Greece, while philosophers debated the immortality of the soul, they approached the concept in various ways. In some cultures, this cycle was viewed as a journey for the soul to complete its development, while in others, it was seen as a mechanism for punishment or reward. Eastern religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism embrace reincarnation as a core teaching, while in the West, thinkers like Plato examined it in depth and detail. However, the roots of this ancient belief are not limited to the East. In both ancient Egyptian and Celtic mythology, there are also references to the idea of the soul finding a new body after death. Every culture and belief system has interpreted reincarnation in line with its traditions and values. But why and how was such a widespread belief banned? The answer to this question will unfold as you continue watching the video. Tracing the origins of reincarnation is like embarking on a journey deep into the history of humanity. The roots of this belief extend back thousands of years, all the way to ancient India. In ancient Hindu texts like the Vedas, the concept of the samsara cycle, where the soul passes from one life to the next, is explored in great detail. At the heart of this cycle lies the law of karma. Every action you take has a corresponding consequence in your next life. In ancient Greece, reincarnation took shape through mystical teachings and philosophical ideas. Pythagoras believed that the soul transitioned from body to body and shared stories of carrying memories from past lives. Plato frequently emphasized the immortality of the soul and its rebirth, arguing that it served as a tool for moral development. However, the belief in reincarnation isn't just grounded in philosophical or religious texts. In ancient Egypt, the soul was to undergo various trials after death, preparing for its rebirth. This belief was reflected in the complex burial rituals aimed at ensuring a smooth passage into the afterlife. In Celtic mythology, warriors were believed to be reborn after death, returning to their tribes to continue fighting. The idea of reincarnation appears in different forms across cultures, yet it always shares a common belief. The soul is immortal and on a journey. This ancient teaching has been one of the most powerful reflections of humanity's ongoing quest to make sense of life, death, and existence. The concept of reincarnation appeared in various religious texts throughout history, sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly. In Eastern traditions, particularly in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, this teaching is considered a fundamental truth. In Hinduism's sacred texts, the samsara cycle of life is described as the process through which the soul transitions from one body to another. The soul rises or falls within this cycle based on the law of karma. In Buddhism, reincarnation is known as rebirth, and this process is directly linked to one's past actions. However, the ultimate goal in Buddhist teachings is to break free from this cycle and attain nirvana. Jainism similarly uses the life cycle as a framework for the soul's development and purification. In the Western world, early Christian texts also contain traces of reincarnation. For example, some Gnostic writings suggest that the soul could mature through rebirth. In Kabbalah, an important aspect of Jewish mysticism, the concept of Gilgul, soul migration, is central. This belief suggests that the soul continues its purification journey by being reborn into different bodies. Additionally, within the Islamic world, though mainstream teachings do not accept reincarnation, Sufi traditions mention the idea of the soul passing through different stages of existence. Rumi, for instance, uses metaphors in his poetry to express the idea of the soul's journey. Although these texts and belief systems addressed reincarnation in various forms, at some point, this idea was either significantly altered or removed entirely from these teachings. But why? How did power dynamics, political interests, and religious authorities play a role in the elimination of this ancient belief? Let's now explore the answer to this question together. Reincarnation was once a cornerstone of many ancient belief systems. However, over time, it was removed from the sacred texts of numerous religions and eventually banned. So, how did this process begin, and what were the reasons behind it? The answers lie in both religious and political factors. The shift beginning in the Roman Empire. The belief in reincarnation persisted across various cultures and religious beliefs from ancient Rome through the Middle Ages. However, especially in the 4th century AD, with Christianity becoming the state religion of the Roman Empire, the teachings of reincarnation began to be increasingly questioned. During this period, some Christian theologians, particularly from the school of Alexandria, rejected reincarnation and instead advocated for the belief in a single life and an afterlife after death. The role of Constantine and the Church. In 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea, convened by Emperor Constantine, marked a significant step in defining Christianity's core beliefs. At this council, teachings such as reincarnation were viewed as obstacles to a unified belief system and were officially rejected. From this point on, Christianity adopted the idea of a single life and eternal afterlife instead of reincarnation. The Church found the acceptance of reincarnation dangerous because it promoted the desire for eternal life and the idea of controlling one's destiny. This teaching could potentially weaken the authority of religious leaders and lead to a breakdown in moral discipline. As a result, the process of banning reincarnation gained momentum. Rejection in the Middle Ages. Throughout the Middle Ages, especially in Europe, the idea of reincarnation was almost entirely excluded from Western societies. The Church accepted only the understanding of a singular life bound to God's will. It was believed that the belief in reincarnation somehow contradicted Christian teachings, and it was officially rejected by the Church. In the 13th century, influential theologians such as Thomas Aquinas argued that reincarnation was a superstitious belief and worked to exclude the doctrine from theological texts and discourse. The modern era, the rebirth of reincarnation. In the 19th century, reincarnation began to re-emerge in the West. New Age thinkers and spiritualist movements started to rediscover ancient beliefs and advocate for their teaching. However, the banning of reincarnation evolved beyond just a religious matter. It also became a social, cultural, and political issue. Today, reincarnation still holds a place within many different religious and spiritual teachings. However, the doctrines that banned it are now seen by many as a part of a distant past. But was the process of banning reincarnation limited solely to religious doctrine? Or was it part of a political strategy to regulate people's relationship with supernatural forces? The answers to these questions remain open for debate. The banning of reincarnation was not only driven by religious reasons, but also by powerful political and social factors. This ban was not just an attempt to erase a religious doctrine, it was also a critical strategy for centralizing power, controlling public beliefs, and reshaping social structures. The political influence of religious powers, the alliance between the Church and the state. In the 4th century AD, the acceptance of Christianity as the state religion by Roman Emperor Constantine marked a turning point. This was not just a religious change, but a political transformation as well. Constantine sought to align religious beliefs with the state's interests, making Christianity not only a belief system, but the ideological foundation of the Roman Empire. However, teachings like reincarnation posed a threat to this centralized religious structure. Reincarnation could lead individuals to place themselves in a position similar to God, granting them control over their own destiny. This, in turn, could weaken authority. In Christianity, the belief in the afterlife became a crucial element for controlling authority. As a result, the banning of reincarnation was seen as a way to consolidate the Church's power and ensure social order. The Church as a tool of social control. The Church was not just a spiritual authority, but also a tool for social control. During the Middle Ages, European societies were largely under the influence of the Church. The Church shaped not only individual spiritual lives, but also the intellectual lives of the people. During this period, the acceptance of reincarnation could have led people to question life and death, potentially disrupting social order. Furthermore, the idea of reincarnation seemed to support an egalitarian notion among social classes. The belief that people arrive at their current state through experiences from past lives could have led to questioning the privileges of the aristocracy and the spiritual elite. The Church feared that such beliefs could incite rebellion among the masses. Additionally, reincarnation could have been used as an excuse to absolve individuals of their past misdeeds, potentially undermining moral responsibility and distancing individuals further from society. Political hegemony and interreligious competition. Another key factor in the banning of reincarnation was interreligious competition. Christianity, particularly in the later stages of the Roman Empire, was in conflict with other belief systems. Ancient Greek and Roman religions contained teachings related to reincarnation. These beliefs might have encouraged people to live their lives with the assurance that they would be reborn in an eternal cycle, rather than taking moral responsibility for their actions. Christianity, with its understanding of a single life and afterlife, rejected such teachings, seeking to establish the monotheistic belief system as the dominant force in social life. This religious conflict was not just a competition of beliefs. It was a battle to shape worldviews and social structures. Reincarnation allowed the survival of rival belief systems, which Christianity sought to weaken by banning reincarnation and ensuring its own teachings reigned over all areas of society. The social context of reincarnation and societal change. The banning of reincarnation also led to changes in individual responsibility and societal structures. In the Middle Ages, beliefs like reincarnation encouraged people to shape their lives according to God's will and the needs of social order. However, with the influence of the Church, the belief in a single life began to dominate. This not only served to control social order, but also reinforced the idea that every action had a result directly governed by God. Living a life based on the afterlife belief put individuals under the control of both society and the Church. In conclusion, the process of banning reincarnation shaped up as not only a religious issue, but also a political and social strategy. Religious teachings, when brought under the control of the state, ensured the preservation of power balances and guided the public according to social expectations. The ban on reincarnation represented a limitation on individual freedoms while increasing the state's control over society through religion. Reincarnation remains a major topic of debate around the world today. The resurgence of ancient beliefs and the search for spiritual meaning have contributed to the renewed popularity of this concept in modern society. However, the approach to reincarnation varies significantly across cultural, religious, and scientific perspectives. So how is reincarnation viewed in the contemporary world? The spiritualist movement and New Age thought. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, especially in the West, reincarnation began to gain attention once again with the rise of the New Age movement. During this period, interest in individual spiritual development, evolutionary processes, and supernatural experiences grew. Reincarnation evolved from merely a religious doctrine to a personal belief. People began to accept the idea of reincarnation in order to explore the deeper meaning of their lives. In this era, reincarnation was viewed not only as a consequence of life's end, but as a part of one's spiritual evolution. New Age thinkers defined reincarnation as a process by which individuals achieve spiritual maturity by learning from their actions in past lives. This perspective encouraged individuals to question not only their current life, but the entire journey of their existence. Psychology and scientific perspectives. Reincarnation has also become a topic of interest in modern psychology. Starting in the mid-20th century, psychoanalysts began exploring past lives in some therapeutic approaches. Dr. Brian Weiss, for example, claimed that his patients, through hypnosis, were able to recall memories of past lives. His book, Many Lives, Many Masters, gained widespread attention and became a pivotal work in discussing the potential use of reincarnation in psychotherapy. However, in scientific circles, reincarnation remains a controversial topic. The lack of objective proof to test the validity of reincarnation has led the scientific community to often view it as a belief system. Brain research, subconscious processes, and memory theories suggest that what people perceive as memories of past lives might be products of personal memories or imagination. Nonetheless, some scientists continue to view reincarnation as an unknown phenomenon related to consciousness and the nature of the soul. Reincarnation in Eastern religions. Reincarnation is a fundamental belief in many Eastern religions, such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. In these religions, life is seen as a cycle that leads to rebirth after death. In Hinduism, the law of karma dictates that a person's actions in this life determine the circumstances of their next life. In Buddhism, reincarnation is viewed as part of the spiritual process of reaching nirvana. Today, these teachings are followed with great interest by many in the Western world, and many incorporate these beliefs into their own personal spiritual journeys. The traditional Eastern beliefs, when combined with a Western understanding, have led to reincarnation becoming more widely recognized as a process of individual spiritual development. The role of reincarnation in modern life. In modern society, reincarnation is seen not just as a religious teaching, but as a part of the search for personal growth and the discovery of life's meaning. Many believe that reincarnation offers an opportunity not only to understand past lives, but also to learn from the mistakes made in this life and achieve a higher level of consciousness. Reincarnation now serves as an important element in connecting our past actions to our current life and is seen as a way to live a more meaningful life. Moreover, the concept of reincarnation is being used as a tool in psychological healing and self-discovery. The practice of past life therapy helps individuals gain deeper insights into themselves, while also providing a means of confronting trauma and negative experiences. Sociocultural change and personal beliefs. In conclusion, reincarnation today holds both religious and personal significance. The reimagining of ancient teachings in modern society has allowed for a deeper understanding of reincarnation as it becomes part of people's efforts to find meaning in their lives. In the modern world, reincarnation has transformed from a doctrine rooted in the past to a symbol of inner exploration and personal responsibility. We've come to the end of our video, and I'd like to leave you with a few thought-provoking questions on this deep topic. If reincarnation truly existed, how would the meaning of our actions and choices in life change? If we had knowledge of our past lives, would that make us more responsible and conscious in this life? Was the banning of reincarnation a strategy to maintain social order and control, or was it an interference in the nature of our spiritual journey? Is it just as important to know how to shape our future as it is to remember our past lives? If we believe that everything is cyclical, is there a message for us about how we can break free from this cycle and achieve freedom? Your answers to these questions may shape not only your beliefs, but also your perception of life and death. Each of us should move forward, not by the traces of the past, but by our own choices. But that doesn't mean we can ignore the past. Perhaps the past holds a light that can help us understand the present and shape our future. So, do you believe in reincarnation? If your answer is yes, how would this belief change your life? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's put these questions aside and take another step on our journey. Instead of staying in the shadow of the past, what can we do to illuminate our path with our own light? The thinking and answers are up to you. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.